All right, this is Ray Carsillo, and I have the pleasure now of sitting with Brandon Justice, who, of course, is one of the main men behind the online sensation that is QuickHit.com, Quick Hit Football. Brandon, how you doing today?
I'm doing real well, man. How about you?
I'm doing all right. You're going to show us this game, Quick Hit. You're going to show us all the in-depth details about it, and that it's not your granddaddy's football, is it?
It's 4th and goal with 10 seconds left. They're down by 6. This play will decide the game. You know football, you love football. Now play it for free online all year round. Quick Hit Football is the ultimate football game that lets you play against anyone, anytime. Build a dynasty of players. Get tips from Coach Bill Cowher, all for free.
All right, so we're here now. We're at the main hub for Quick Hit, and tell us about what we're going to do now to get into the game and how we're going to find an opponent.
All right, well, this is basically Quick Hit Football is an online free-to-play coaching strategy game, right? It's a bit of an RPG for those who are familiar with that kind of genre. It's something new to sports, you know, and obviously once EA kind of signed the exclusivity license with the NFL a few years back, it's been kind of a lack of competition, and we're not really trying to be a direct competitor of what they do. We're more, you know, you look at the Madden audience, it's about 5 to 7 million people every year, right? You know, a little more with the NCAA guys, and there's probably some crossover there. You know, but then you look at fantasy football, it's like 20 million people, right? So you got a ton of people out there that want to get on their computer week in, week out, make strategy-based decisions on football. So we're really trying to scratch that itch, and also for people who love the idea of being able to play a football video game, but just don't necessarily have the thumb dexterity to get in there and pull off the juke at the right time, or, you know, pull the special move on the defensive line and get the sack. You know, this is more people who are kind of football buffs, who are strategy buffs, who, you know, the armchair coaches who, you know, sit back at week in and week out and criticize, you know, the Rex Ryans of the universe and say, oh, I could do this and do that with that team. Quick Hit Football is kind of your chance to do just that.
You talk a lot about the strategy. How does this compare against, like, Madden head coach? Like, how does you know, how would you rate against it?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that. I was there when head coach kind of came into being at EA while they were working on the product, and I worked on franchise mode pretty much exclusively early on in my development career as a designer, and you know, continued to do that on the Madden franchise when I shifted from 2K. We did the first franchise in the 2K series over there. So when you look at it, it's like, here's this big audience of people who play the game, but franchise is kind of the hardcore mode for the guys who are really serious, who want to play 30 years worth of football and grow their guys and draft their guys and do all that stuff. And that stuff, you know, as a football fan, it really winds my clock. Largely because I'm a Bengals fan and we're terrible, so the draft is like the most exciting time of the year. It's definitely
not this year, though. Not this year.
That's true. Who dey? But yeah, you know, it's one of those things where because of that, I love the draft and I love training camp because it represented hope. You know, so for me, franchise mode was a big thing. But you got to consider it's also kind of the most grueling, grinding, hardcore, you know, part of the game, right? So in the sense that we're a strategy game, you pick plays, you watch them happen on the field. That's where we're very similar to head coach, but past that, we're really trying to be, like I said, a bit more accessible, right? So we wanted to build a game that worked the way people talked about the game. We want to help you grow your football knowledge. We don't want to insist upon a high level of knowledge just to get in. You know, I like to compare it to like Tony Hawk. You know, you can play a game like that, set the controller down, and the guy will skate forever and never wreck. If he hits an object, he bumps. He's like one of those little vacuums. He'll just hit another wall, you know? You pick it up, okay, so maybe you start jumping some things. We're going to call a play in here so we don't get delay a game. But, you know, in that sense, you can pick it up, start doing some things. You know, then once you get really good, you can do a 500 million point combo where you don't touch the ground for 30 minutes.
Right.
You know, and in that sense, we wanted that same kind of scalability for our game in terms of a learning curve. You know, easy to pick up, difficult to master, right? So we've got all of the basics, you know, for people who kind of just want to come in. You know, you'll see the plays come in here in just a second post-play. Now, see what you got here. This is our play calling interface, right? So for every play, you can kind of hover over the play, and it gives you an on-field preview. So you see where all your guys would be lined up and what they're doing, right? In addition to that, we've got little information about the play. You don't know what cover 2 is. You don't know the difference between cover 2 and cover 3. We'll explain it to you.
Now, how many plays would you say overall is in this game? Like, just like an estimate.
Well, in this particular version, like I said, we added 50 new plays. I think we're up over the 250 mark right now. Speaking of which, that's a lot of plays to go through. Calling plays in Madden's a tough thing, you know. It's because the playbook's like 400 plays. We want to make that simple. So, you know, we kind of took a cue from internet search engines, really. So, let's say you know, you want to throw a long bomb to Mario Manningham. You know, that's how you talk about the game. It's like, you know, so and by the same token, learn here, okay, pass. I'm running out of time. I got 8 seconds. Deep, key player, wide receiver 1, brings them all in. There you go. So in 5 seconds, I was able to basically take this 250 playbook, trim it down to about 6 plays that are very specific to what I wanted to do. And I didn't hike the ball because I'm over here gesturing like a crazy man. But, you know, point being, it's pretty easy to find those plays. And you got 40 seconds, you know, on the play clock.
Right.
So you got plenty of time to kind of get in there and make those calls. And I like to run the football. Nice little juke there. One of the things we're adding for this update is we had a ton of special move variants. You know, we had the basics, the stiff arm, the truck, the spin, the juke. But what we did now is we've actually got a ton of different variants for each of those moves, as well as fails. So like you can try to do a truck, but it doesn't work. Or you try to spin out, but you get caught in the tackle from all different angles, you know, from different results. So if you got like a big power back, he's going to be that guy who fights for an extra 2-3 yards. He may not break the tackle, but he's going to get some push. Right. You know, and we did the same thing for the defense. Now they've got all these ways to stop those special moves. So, you know, we added a ton of variation there. So it's really kind of helping the visual fidelity of the game.
Mm-hmm. Now I see there's only like maybe 3 minutes per quarter. Was that what went into that decision to have such short quarters, and how many possessions do you think you can have on average per game?
Well, it's not slow hit, but not kidding. But one of the things, you know, we are a casual game. We want to be accessible. We want people to be able to pick it up and play it on their lunch break. You know, kind of joked around in the early going about, you know, commercials for the game and what they would look like. And, you know, I always joke we wanted to have the spot where there's a guy in the office and very serious, you know, wearing a suit and tie, and he's playing the game, and every so often his boss is walking by. He's like, hide and screen, hide and screen. You know, we've all done it a million times at work. You know, and then finally in the last pitch, you got the guy walking by, and it's his boss, and he's there, and he walks by again. He's kind of peeking over at the computer, and you follow the boss back to his office, and he's like, gonna throw the bomb, are you? And he's actually playing against his boss and never knew it. And the whole idea is, you know, we wanted this game to be fast-paced. We know people are going to be playing at work. They're going to be playing at school. They're going to be playing on their lunch break. So we decided to go with that faster pace for those reasons. And also in video game football, you know, you score a lot more points. You do stuff a lot quicker. You don't have TV timeouts and everything to account for, so we don't need all those stoppages in play. Mm-hmm. You know, so in that sense, you know, we wanted to give people something they can kind of hop in, have a good game of football, but play it at their leisure, you know, and not have it be a high-pressure situation. Now,
you mentioned, of course, there's a lot of RPG elements to this. How long does it take for your players to level up? How many games do you have to play, you think, before you can start really starting to beef up your players?
Well, you know, in the very beginning, you kind of gain levels fast, you know, and then at each level it takes a little bit longer. You know, right now, it's not a good sign. But right now, I'm at, you know, my production team is at about level 38, and I've played 250 games or so. You know, so that gives you an idea. Some of our more hardcore players have already played over 500 hours of quick hit football.
Wow.
You know, and we've, like I said, we've been out 2.5, 3 months. So,
when will the new update hit? When will we take effect?
Very, very soon. Any day now. Possibly in the next week or so.
Oh, okay.
We're very close. And like I said, we're kind of in a point now where we're doing some open testing with some of our top users. You know, we got guys who've logged hundreds of games. Bring those guys in, you know, if you want to be a part of that community and help kind of shape the game. You really get an opportunity at this game. You know, we're not like a big mega corporation where, you know, feedback goes into, you know, a fire pit somewhere. It's like when people bring issues to us, we really try to take the time to react to those issues, figure out their issues in the game, figure out if it's going to break the balance of the game to fix those problems and how we can handle them effectively. But on top of that, you know, we're a new game. We're building everything from scratch, you know. So we kind of have the opportunity to pick and choose which things we build first based on what people want to see the most, you know. It's been pretty cool so far.
Brandon, I think you've pretty much hit on every possible topic about this game, bro. I mean, it looks phenomenal. It's quickhit.com. It's available now. Hopefully that new update will be hitting very soon. And definitely everybody at home should check it out. And it's just as easy as just having an internet connection and just hopping on your computer.
There you go.
So I want to thank you very much for to coming by the studio today and taking a few minutes and showing us a demo game. And you know, hopefully next time you'll get Coach Cower. You know, he looked pretty formidable as he should be.
Well,
but yeah, we want to thank you for coming by and showing us this. This was very cool.
thanks, man. It's our pleasure. Thanks for having us. And you know, guys, we'll see you out there on the field. I'm in the lobby all the time. If you want to give me a whooping like Coach Cower just did, look out for Jack's Wasted Life in the lobby.
No massive download, No credit card required. All you need is a computer and the will to win. Quick Hit Football. Change the game.